Lawrence got nailed.
Wait for me. Nacho cheese now. Wait. Nacho's there.
Armor.
I have a There's another one.
Downed another.
Where?
Char and I. You just dropped on him. There's also got two.
You want to open that? Shadow might be in there.
No, that's
That's Gray Fox. That's Gray Fox.
No. Come to me. No.
How dare you?
Come over here. Stop going to James!
How many hits? And then it just goes off the screen.
We'll see if they're able to find the damage over the rest bank. There's already going to be brought down Scout as well. Infinity Esports, you just did it to it.
Here we go.
James.
Here we go.
There he is.
Here we go. Here we go.
Right,
Here we go.
He's lit for 80. I think you can probably kill him.
Here we go.
If you can't kill him, you might as well take out your pistol, honestly.
James.
Take out your pistol.
Some people see video games as a pastime, and others see it as a waste of time. But video games are more than that. Just like a person could be immersed in a movie or their favorite sport, people could be immersed in video games. The things that get a person immersed into something can be different, but the power of immersion is always the same. Immersion is all about being absorbed into an activity and coming back to it continuously. I have been playing video games since I was a kid, and I have spent a lot of hours being immersed in a game. Whether that was a role-playing game, a first-person shooter, even fighting games, which I'm not very good at. I was constantly immersed in various types of video games over the course of the years. There was always one game that people would be absorbed into after they played it for just a few hours, and that game was Skyrim. Whenever nostalgia was present, Skyrim would somehow make it into the conversation. Some of my friends have very fond memories of the game, and so does the gaming community. Skyrim is so popular that it has been part of 2 console generations and even made its way into virtual reality. And Skyrim has been released around 7 years ago and is still played today. So I asked 3 people to give me some of their feedback on their experience while playing Skyrim. The difference between these 3 people is that they play the game at different periods. In the end, all I want to know is how immersed they are while playing Skyrim.
I would hear commentary in the background between NPCs about other races except Imperials, since those are like the I guess like the conquerors of that kind of game. I'd say I picked the race Imperial because it was the most that looked like a Mexican. Yeah, I'd say it resonated with me. Okay. Even though I picked the female gender. I'd say it immerses me into its lore, or more of its world building. I enjoy single player games that have great or expanded worlds, kind of like with Witcher 3. It reminded me, a lot of the NPC conversations reminded me of something of Witcher 3, where we would hear in the background how they talk about mages and how they're they should dispose stuff and halflings and anything that's not human, pretty much. There was lots of beautiful scenery, like great landscapes, mountain ranges, forest. I didn't really play the main story. I got more sidetracked with side quests until exploring the world. I would start with the main quest and try to follow the storyline, but then I would notice something off to the side, maybe talk to some NPC and they gave me a quest, and then I would just go on with that. And then while doing that side quest, I would get sidetracked and start exploring the landscape. And I was climbing the mountain to meet the gray ones, or the southern ones, because it was kind of, I don't know, I'd say it was like a good shot. Kind of like from Game of Thrones, when you first see the wall, like in its whole entirety height. And there was like the whole chant in the background from them just speaking, or I guess summoning you to talk to them. That was a really good moment. When I play single player games, it's more just to get into the world and immersed into it and, try to be, or imagine myself as that character going through those trials or those ordeals to, become something great. And then with like multiplayer games, it's more just for fun, since I usually just play those with all my other friends and stuff like that.
I played as a Khajiit. Well, I went into it not knowing really anything about Skyrim. This is the first Elder Scroll game I've played. So just like, wow, these people are like kind of racist. They're like calling me a Khajiit. You don't really go around saying like, hey, you Asian. So it's just like, huh, that's weird. And then I like realized, oh, it's because they're racist. That's why they're doing racist things. Yeah, but it felt kind of weird because it was very obviously built, like the game was built for you to be a Nord, so everything was kind of like assumed that as the default. So there's like a little bit of interactions that are a little strange, like how you talk to a Stormcloak and be like, join our kind of racist group that think Nords should kill everyone and own the land, and then be like, but I'm a Khajiit, why would I do that, kind of thing. I remember going into the character selection thing and then looking at all the things and be like, this isn't really, like, none of these feel like me, so I might as well be a furry. Just like, I like cats. I'm gonna pick him. So it's just kind of like none of these fit, so I'll just pick what I think is just like the weirdest thing that I'd feel comfortable with. I mean, sometimes it's a lot of grinding for me. It gets a little boring. And the weight thing really bothered me. I've never really played a game with that. But in general, it feels a little unfinished. I mean, because I played it fresh off of after playing Breath of the Wild. And so I got a lot of comparisons of that. Like, I really like Breath of the Wild. It's a great game. It felt like it's a lot smaller, but everything feels really finished. But like with Skyrim, it's like so big, everything just kind of feels half done. Feels like really repetitive too, especially with like the voices, where it's just like male voice 1 saying line 3, or male voice 2 saying line 5. So it was enjoyable at first, but then it just got a little bit too repetitive after a while. It's a lot of getting lost, and it's very barren. I mean, I do like the little indication on the top where it's be like, oh, there's a cool thing over there, I should check that out, that you've never discovered before. But when you're trying to get somewhere specific, that's really tricky. So, and like there's a lot you never really know if you can go directly through to a place, if there's like gonna be a mountain in the middle that you can't really climb. So that was really annoying. I just kind of fucked around a while. I just like kind of follow this, follow that. But then after a while, I started opening like the storylines, which is like, oh, I guess I'll follow this storyline for a while. And I personally like to use walkthroughs and whatnot. So I usually have my computer open and it like has like a quest and it'll like teach me how to do it in case I miss anything. I like beautiful scenery, so it's just like, the first time I actually looked up at the sky at night, I was just like, oh wow, that's really beautiful. And I was a werewolf then, so it's just like, I wish I could, ow! Yeah. I think it's just that there's a lot to do. So like, you never really feel finished. I've barely finished the game. I haven't touched a lot of the storylines at all. So there's the collector in me that kind of wants to get everything. There's like the completionist kind of aspect of it that I really enjoy. So I'll be like, I kind of feel like, you know, completing this thing or getting this whole set of armor kind of thing. So that's always been interesting to me. There's also like, kind of like, I wonder what happens. Cause like I played part of the Dawn Guard, storyline thing, and that was actually one of the more interesting storylines that I found. So I was just like, I wonder what happens. But also I kind of want to get married to Serena because I think she's cute, but I know you can't and I'll be sad. It's such a glitchy game. I was saying that before. Yeah, I played the first time around. I played to like level 40. I was just fucking around going wherever I want. But then I didn't have any shouts because I couldn't get to the first dragon. I couldn't kill the first dragon. I didn't realize that until very, very deep into the game. So I was like collecting these shouts and be like, oh, you need a dragon soul. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll find a dragon soul somewhere eventually. But no. I had to kill the first dragon and get the soul to unlock any of the shouts. So I just kind of sat there being like, I'm level 40. It took me so long to get here.
So I had multiple playthroughs in Skyrim, but the one that I remember the most, I picked an Argonian, which is the lizard race, and I played as a male. It was very interesting because a lot of the characters in the world were not favorable of Argonians. They would make fun of me in the game. They would say, like, you know, I guess racial slurs. Lizard people don't exist in the real world, but if they did, and they were a race that people disliked, then that's what I experienced. I don't remember the slurs, you know, verbatim, but I remember characters not wanting to even talk to me, and merchants not even offering to like do business with me because I was an Argonian. So it was very interesting. I think the Argonian race was the most different. They were non-human, and they just, I don't know, they just looked the most unique to me. So I went with them. I don't have fantasies of being a lizard person particularly, but you know, I feel like if you're gonna take on a different role, then why not make it as, you know, different from your actual life as possible. So that's one of the reasons why I went with them. A game like Skyrim was very captivating because you had a lot of control as the player, and there was this active world around you that ran without you. Like you didn't control what people did. People just did things. Or by people I mean the NPCs in the game. So it was very easy to just kind of get, you know, immersed and captivated by the world, and I wanted to be a part of that world. So it felt good, to put it simply. Except for like the racist parts against Argonian people. That was not so fun. So I played Skyrim when it launched, I think 8 years ago, in 2011 on the PlayStation 3 console. So it's been about 7 or 8 years since I played the game. So the section that I remember the most would be like Whiterun, which was the first major city. I spent a lot of time just interacting with, you know, the characters in the game in that particular area, exploring, not really knowing where I'm going, just going places. It was very medieval European, like I want to say maybe 15th century Europe. That was the feel that I got from the game if I had to describe it to something or compare it to something, of the real world. I don't know. It was really cool. It was something like, I wouldn't experience now in the modern world. Most people that play Skyrim would probably talk about the dragon battles. So definitely the first time encountering the dragons was a big moment in the game because they're nothing like any other enemy in the game. The most memorable moment would probably be when I was ambushed by 2 dragons at one time. I was fighting one dragon, and I had him down, I had him on the ropes, and then another dragon intercepted the battle and started to whip my butt. And I didn't expect that. I didn't think the game was able to handle 2 dragons at once in the same area. I didn't think that was possible, so it threw me off. So that would be, my moments in the game.
Skyrim is not the only game where someone could get immersed. Everybody has a different game that they absorb themselves into, but Skyrim is a good example of what immersion could look like.
I got into Smite mostly because it's based off mythology, and I've always loved mythology. Since I was pretty much, somehow I can remember, I would always go to the library and start reading any kind of book on mythology. Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, Norse mythology. I never got enough of it, and when I found out about Smite, I just got really into it. Skyrim's immersion is more of, here's a world, go explore it, and if you could do the quest. That's more my opinion right there, but people should play it for the main story. But with Smite, it's more of there's a different characters you could play as, each of them with their own lore, which I guess now it's starting to, or the game developers are starting to expand on that lore by adding events which make a story for it.
Ooh. Rune Factory, like the series, it's not as popular as Harvest Moons, but it's like Harvest Moon, but with anime girls, and I'm a weeb, so I for some strange reason, I grew up in a city, I was born in a city, I really like farming games, and I really like anime, so Rune Factory is perfect for me, and I like getting married to girls. I like flirting with girls. The dialogue between characters and the flirting, that part's pretty immersive, but then when I'm usually fighting monsters, I'm also thinking as a player point of view, or how do I get the most out of this situation? How do I farm the best? How do I kill that monster, kind of thing? I'm looking up different guides on walkthroughs, kind of thing. So I liked that duality of it. of like I can flirt with girls and pretend that I'm this character flirting with girls, but I can also be like a super meticulous farmer kind of person thing. I actually think Rune Factory is a little more immersive because I feel like the characters are a little more. No, the actions of the main character is a little more relatable. In Rune Factory, I am actively trying to be the main character.
So Skyrim's definitely up there, but if I had to pick a favorite game, it would be Monster Hunter. That's a game where it's similar in the sense that you're fighting. The foe is the foe consists of just these large creatures. A lot of them dragon-like or dinosaur-like, where you would slay them and you would use their body parts to make new weapons and armor pieces for yourself. So Monster Hunter, that would be my favorite game. It's a different kind of immersion. In a game like Monster Hunter, I'm more immersed in the boss battles, which is the core mechanic of the game. Not so much the story or the world even. In Skyrim, I'm immersed in that world. So in a game like Skyrim, I wouldn't feel the time pass. I could play it for 5 hours and it would feel like I only played for 30 minutes or something like that. Versus something like Monster Hunter, it's not as relaxing as Skyrim. Monster Hunter is very intense, and so I feel almost exhausted after a 5-hour session of Monster Hunter. So to answer your question, I'm immersed, but in a different kind of way.
In the end, I asked my subjects to sum up their feelings on Skyrim as a whole.
I was kind of confused since I never really played any game like Skyrim. I asked if it was like The Witcher, and you just said I need to just play it, find out. Which I guess I kind of found out that the background or some of the lore behind it is sort of similar, where there are some races or some groups of people which seem to be inferior, kind of like in the real world where we had that problem in history, still do. Just thought it was cool. I heard quite a bit, mostly from the mods. I know a friend, Antonio, showed me a mod where they turned the dragons into Macho Man Randy Savage. I just thought it was like some weird game where the mods made it fun, but when I got into it, it was more of the story and everything about it was what made it interesting.
It is like an interesting world to kind of like be in, so there's that. But I mean, I also do see it as like it's not like full escapism of like life is horrible and I don't want to be here, but there are parts that you just kind of like sink in and be like, ooh, this is really cool, I'm in here right now. Yeah, but it's a fun game. It's a pretty decent game.
The great thing about a game like Skyrim is you can approach it a totally different way and get a totally different experience out of it. Even though the starting points are the same, you start in the same area every single time. But the character you create and the actions you take, the kind of person that you create in the game, determines your experience in a lot of ways, right? If I play as a Nordic character, right, I'm not going to deal with the same problems as I dealt with as an Argonian. And the same thing if I played as a Khajiit character, which are, the feline characters. I would have a different set of problems or obstacles in front of me. So, yeah, I would definitely play it again, but I would definitely go a different route.
At the end of the interview, Julio added something that gives insight into what video games could mean to others.
I think some people, it's to escape their realities. Some people have, they have rough lives. A lot of people have children and bills and debt and, just a lot of negative things. Well, not that those things are negative, but those things are stressful. And so being able to take the role of a different person and have a different set of problems in this world where you can control these problems and you can solve these problems. The problems, the solutions are right there in front of you, right? You can find the solution. You can kill the dragon. You can save the princess. You can do whatever the objective is versus, how do you escape a domestic violent relationship or something like that. The solution isn't as visible as it would be in a game. So I think it's a little bit of both. Some people play games for fun. I mostly play them for fun, but I also do sense, I do feel a sense of escape when I do play games, the stresses of work. the stresses of, you know, relationships or family. They're not there. They're not present in Skyrim, you know. I'm there dealing with, you know, racial profiling as an Argonian, right? So it's a different set of problems, and sometimes different is better. So I think gamers get a bad rep for being people who don't how do I phrase this? People who aren't able to cope in the real world, and that isn't true entirely. I think gaming is something that everybody can do. There are millions of different kinds of games, and Skyrim is just one of those great games that I think a lot of people can play and enjoy, because you have full control over like what your character can do. You don't have to slay dragons. You can go craft, right, and be, you know, a merchant, right? You can do all sorts of things. So I think coming into a topic like this with an open mind is important, because you might learn a thing or two, and you might find a new hobby. So
Okay. Well, thank you.